Dad, you might want to brace yourself for this one. It's time for Wretched. Wretched! Come on, Tim. Relevant. Welcome back to Wretched. Thank you, rascally tornado.
Heaven or hell for you, Mr. Bear? Would you consider yourself to be a good mind?
Oh, I feel terrific. Hello, and welcome to Wretched. My name is Todd Friel. I am your host. The wretch the song refers to. And I am man enough to admit I watch HGTV. That's right, I watch the Home and Garden TV network. I'm a window peeper, that dopey show where the people go shopping for 3 houses and you follow them along. I don't even know these people. But you get an inside look into 3 homes and then you have to guess which one they're going to buy. You might as well go to Vegas. Your odds are better there, frankly. But one of the things that I've observed about fellas, they go house hunting with their wives, and they say something that, quite honestly, for some reason, it's like petting a cat backwards, which are 2 things you shouldn't do. Pet a cat backwards or own a cat. Those are 2 things you shouldn't do. The fella will walk into like the basement, and inevitably, most guys will go, now this is what I'm talking about. This is going to be my man cave. And I was just, what, you need me time? What is with that exactly? So, sir, I would like to suggest to you, if you're one of those fellows who needs a little me time all by himself, this is probably going to sting a little bit. 10 Temptations That Dads Face by Paul Pettit. Now, quite honestly, I thought the title a little on the boring side, so I renamed it Tentations. Get it? Temptations! Here they are. Number 1. The pull to spend more time at work and leave the leftovers for the family. Don't be doing that. Hey, there's always a season that most men go through where you have to spend more time at work. But that should be a season. Sir, don't work so hard. Hey, work is important. Let's not just fall from one ditch into the other. I've heard that sermon before. Just don't come home just dragging every single night. And if you are dragging, sir, and I mean this, truly, I mean this, not as a discouragement, but as an encouragement. I don't mean this as a slam. I truly mean this to kind of get you to go, okay, I can do this. When you pull into the garage and you have had a pistol whip of a day, might I encourage you to man up? I'm not being like, hey, man up, sissy boy. Those are the people who go house hunting on HGTV and need a little man cave for themselves. I'm asking you to man up. Just ask God for some help to just kind of suck it up and just walk through the door, and don't walk in like you're just dragging every night. Find the energy. Hey, does that mean you can't, on occasion, you've had a legitimately, I'm not saying that either, okay? We're not legalists here, but what I'm encouraging you is if you found yourself in a season where you're just Mr. Glum walking through the door every day, stop it. Instead, find some strength, find some energy to walk through the door. Hey, everybody, Dad's home. And start leading. Temptation number 2. Thinking, I'll spend more time with the kids once they are older. That's not going to happen. In fact, the older they get, the less time they're going to want to spend with you, Dad. And that's okay. That is right. That is normal. When the kids start going into their teen years, I promise you, they are good. And it's right. It's normal. It doesn't mean that they should be like, ew, drop me off here because I don't want to be seen up there with you. I think that's wrong, too. There's something wrong. Either your kid is sinning or there's something wrong inside of your house. But you shouldn't be waiting for those years for them to just, we're going to always go to the baseball game. We're going to go hunting all the time when they're older. Probably not. Because rightly so, they're kind of starting to cut it, fly away from you, and hang out with their pals. Don't wait for another day. Today's the day, Dad. Number 3 of our temptations. Assuming quality time trumps quantity time. You got to have both, Dad. You got to do both those things. One vacation a year and then spending no time with them the rest of the year going, well, that was quality time. Is a temptation you should resist. Number 4 of our temptations, reasoning we might as well divorce since we fight so often anyway. No, you shouldn't. God hates divorce. Once again, sir, ask God for help. Find it, man up, get back in the game, get back in the battle, rightly find the gospel in the middle of the mess, heal it so that your family can stay together. That is what God wants. Number 5, thinking the beautiful woman down the street could meet my needs better than my wife. You know, the babe down the street, you know what she is? She's a sinner, just like your wife. If you can't make it work with your wife, sir, you can't make it work with anybody. I promise you, this story has been written many times. The tale has already been told. It doesn't get better the second time around if you can't make it the first time. Another temptation for dear old dad. I'll leave the church stuff to my wife or to the youth pastor. No, you won't. You will do it. Yes, they are involved, but it's a supporting role. You, Dad. Another temptation for Pop, number 7. Naively thinking, there's no drug or alcohol problems in our school or neighborhood. Not my kid. Well, guess what? They're sinners too. And even if you're in an affluent part of town, hey, you try it. There's going to be, in fact, there might even be more drugs and alcohol there. Why? Because the kids can afford it. I'll never forget interviewing the kids from Minnesota Teen Challenge. Drug and alcohol, very gospel-centered, huge success rate there. Asking the kids about the drugs in the really nice suburban schools, their response, are you kidding? It's everywhere, Dad. Don't assume it's not. Another temptation for father, rationalizing, I've blown it. There's no way to fix this. I wish we had saved this for number 10. You know what? Your family can be rescued. Does God have the power to create a universe? Clearly, it's here. Does God have the power to save a dead man like you? Clearly, you're spiritually alive. Really? You don't think that he can save your marriage? Does the gospel have power or doesn't it? Dad, don't throw in the towel. You can't fix it, but God can through the gospel. Another temptation. Watch out for this one, Dad. Assuming someone will have that talk with my kids. Oh, yeah, they will. And it's probably not going to be what you would say. So, Dad, you say it. Don't assume. And finally, the number 10 temptation to take my wife for granted. Hey, women are strong, but I don't know if you've learned this lesson yet, Dad. They're not as strong as you, okay? That's why 1 Peter 3, Rexella, somewhere in that hood, you need to lovingly live with your wife, protecting her, propping her up, strengthening her, appreciating her. Dad, don't fall into the feminist temptation. Women, you've come a long way. You don't need men. Actually, Dad, they do need you. Don't fall into that temptation. Dad, we got more coming your way next. Oh boy, on Wretched. An affluent. Oh. Welcome back to Wretched. Dad, this one is for you. We just heard the 10 temptations. By the way, I don't want to brag or anything, but we were notified during the break. It looks like an award, a writing award, could be coming our way for the Tentations thing. Dad, 10 lessons that perhaps you have learned or need to learn. Where do these lessons come from? From Kevin DeYoung, Mr. Young, Restless, and Reformed. Kevin DeYoung, who has been married for 10 years. I like Kevin DeYoung for a lot of reasons. Number 1, he's conservative. Number 2, he's Presbyterian, and that makes David happy on occasion. But he does lists. I like lists. And when he came up with 10 lessons he's learned in 10 years, well, we were all over that. Here's the lessons from Mr. DeYoung. Take time to notice and say, thank you, honey. It may be the same chores, the same meal, and the same kids, but don't overlook all that your wife continues to do for you. If I recall, this was one of our temptations. Do you think we pushed this one too far? Be grateful to your wife. Hey, look, I know, sir, maybe it has been years since you walked through the door on the second Friday of the month, and the entire family came running toward you. Daddy, thank you for the paycheck. Thank you for making money so that we could pay the bills and we can do all the fun stuff that we do. Okay, you haven't received any thanks for that. Let's move on. Thank your wife. Thank her. Just because you don't get your thanks doesn't mean that you shouldn't be thanking her. It's hard. It's tedious. Hey, I just read this little survey. I don't know who these people are, but I read it on the internet, so it must be true. If you had to hire people to do all of the stuff that your wife does, the cooking of the meals, the making of the bed, the doing of the laundry, the ironing the clothes. Okay, the ironing, it's where they take this board. Take all of that stuff, not to mention the interior designing, not to mention the love that she shows to the kids. $96,000 a year. Huh? $96,000. Have you been grateful lately? Another lesson from Kevin DeYoung. Speaking of paying attention, don't try to fake it. If you're immersed in the game or a book, better to tell her so instead of making a vain attempt at multitasking. You know how it is. Yeah, honey. Right. Go on Saturday. Sure, Saturdays. Yeah, those people. They're fun to be with. So, no, I'm listening. Really, I am. Don't. Just go, honey. Can I just finish this quarter, this game, this book, this whatever it is, and then give her your full attention? You know how that feels when somebody does that to you, right? Number 3, a lesson from Kevin DeYoung: get her something for Christmas and Valentine's Day, her birthday, your anniversary, Groundhog's Day. She may tell you she doesn't need anything. She may even mean it, but don't find out if she does. Just get her some I'm not nuts that Hallmark has created all these holidays for us to have to go out and buy stuff, but that's the deal, so you might as well just get with the program. Another lesson, Kevin DeYoung: surprise her. Don't be dull. Don't always be predictable. Show her that you think about her even when it's not a holiday. Hey, I got one for you. Ooh, you want to know what my little deal? Priceline. Can I mention Priceline? Priceline. You can name your own price. Go on there sometime, and these hotels, whatever your 5, 4, 3-star, whatever your bag is, go find it, and then basically cut the price in half when you bid. If you don't get it, boo-hoo. But if you get it, score. Surprise her. Take her out. It can be super cheap. Okay, pathetic, maybe, that you have to do it on Priceline? No, I call it Christian. We like deals, and your wife will like a surprise, so don't be predictable. Another lesson from Kevin DeYoung: sometimes what she wants more than anything else is for you to figure out what she wants. Now, that may drive you bonkers, but it's part of loving your wife well enough to know her well. Could you be thinking about her, what she needs, what she wants, and then just get it? What is she into? Okay, she's got a thing that she likes doing. And maybe you study it for a while and recognize, hey, she needs something to do the thing that she loves to do better. I'll go get that thing. It shows that you are thinking about her. And she likes that. And I don't even know your wife. Another lesson from Kevin DeYoung: don't compare. Nothing good is going to happen when you bring up your mama, your buddy's wife, or Susanna Wesley. Unless the comparison is to Jesus, drop it. Hey, honey, you know Jim's wife? Let me tell you something. She makes a meal every... You know that Susanna Wesley, the kids never cried. She'd spank them, and they weren't even allowed to cry when Susanna Wesley would spank little John Charles and the 17 other kids that she had. Honey? I'm not being judgmental, honey. I'm just saying. Actually, sir, don't. Another lesson: don't use up all your words by 6 p.m. Your wife wants you to talk, so talk. Don't use it up at work. Bring some energy home. Another lesson, number 8. Don't talk about leading. Just lead. Hey, let's fill in the blank. Take initiative with the kids, especially in discipline. Don't let mom do that job. Don't shy away from hard decisions. Be a man. Hey, how do I lead? Do I get home and, honey, I just want you to know I'll be leading from now on. No, just start doing it. With family time together, devotional time, Bible reading. Start wherever you can, get going wherever you are, but just start and you do it. Also, involve your wife, which means you're leading your wife. Ask her to do the praying sometimes. Ask her to do some of the reading sometimes. Be leading spiritually. That's not just a good piece of advice. That's a commandment. Another lesson from Kevin DeYoung: make her laugh. It's like singing in the rain. If you've stopped laughing, you may have started hardening. Look, life is hard, is it not? The bills, the kids, the lawn, the work, the church, the everything. But you still should have some joy down in your heart. Might I make a suggestion to you, just something to ponder? This is a lesson that I have learned, perhaps the hard way. When you are constantly looking for it to be better, then you're going to be disappointed a lot, because you're simply probably going to be trading one bag of stresses for another bag of stresses. When you've got little kids, they are messy, they are energetic, they are dangerous to themselves and to others, to the house, and it is physically demanding. And perhaps you're going, oh, I just can't wait until they are less wobbly. Okay, then they become less wobbly. You know what they start doing then? They start climbing. You know, I can't wait till they're done with the climbing. Okay, then they're going to stop climbing up the cabinets. And they're going to start walking up the door. Oh, I can't wait till they could just play in the yard. And then they start playing in the yard, and then they want to go to the ballpark. Oh, if I just didn't have to drive them. I can't wait till I don't have to drive them all over the place. And then guess what? They get themselves a license. Oh, I can't wait until they become 21, because when they're 18 years old, the insurance rates will just make it, and on, waiting. Find the joy now. And by the way, the only way to find that is not just to Oprah it up and go, okay, I'm going to find that joy. It's by studying the gospel. The last lesson from Kevin DeYoung: repent and forgive. Say, I'm sorry. Be specific and don't make excuses. Once again, we're back to the gospel. If you've got a bunch of garbage lying around your house, and I'm not talking about newspapers, I'm not talking about toys and homework, I'm talking about unforgiveness. It reeks in your house, remove it. The way to do that, repent. When you blow it, say, honey, I'm sorry. Will you, ouch, this is hard, forgive me? Sir, have you learned those lessons yet? This is Wretched. Welcome back to Wretched. Dad, how bad do your kids need you? Well, how's about this bad?
Kids in California have been swallowing hand sanitizer to get drunk for a couple of years now, with some 2,600 cases reported in Cali since 2010. But now that trend is sweeping the nation. Here's how it works. Liquid hand sanitizer is 62 to 65% ethyl alcohol, or ethanol, which is the main ingredient in beer, wine, and liquor, making it 120 proof. Now you compare that to a bottle of vodka, which is 80 proof. A few swallows is all it takes to get a person intoxicated and feel the same effects as alcohol. We're talking about slurred speech, unresponsiveness, and doctors say it's even possible to fall into a coma. Now, if that's not enough, teenagers use salt to break up the alcohol from the sanitizer to get a more powerful dose. If you're not sure how to break down the chemicals, there are tutorial videos on the internet describing in detail how to do it.
Great. Gotta love that internet teaching you how to get drunk on hand sanitizer. Dad, your kids need you. They need you really, really bad, Dad. How badly does your wife need you? Here's a statistic for you. Do you realize that 2/3 of divorces in America are initiated by the fairer sex? Sup with that? Women, they're the ones who are wanting the divorces. Now, this is a little bit of speculation, but I don't think it's crazy and wild speculating. Maybe it's because women aren't satisfied. They aren't happy. They aren't feeling protected. They're not safe. They're not miserable. I hate to say it, but it probably won't come as a shock to you. Madam, that's kind of your bent. That's the way that you can go. You're the fairer sex, and you need protecting. You need that, and you want to feel safe. And if you're not getting it, you're probably feeling scared, or you want out, or you think the grass might be greener on the other side. And that is why, sir, you need to be in the game, and you need to be in it rightly. Let's take a look at today's Preacher Potluck.
At the end of Ephesians chapter 5, the Apostle Paul calls marriage a mystery. And when he uses that term mystery, he's not saying that it's some strange things that people can't understand. The word mystery for Paul refers to a secret message that was built into marriage that has now been revealed through the gospel. And so what Paul is saying is that contained and concealed in the human institution of marriage was something very deep, this message called the relationship between Christ and the church. So that every marriage that has ever happened in the history of humanity has been inexorably pointing toward the relationship that we have with Jesus. And that becomes the foundation for our relationship with our wife, if we're husbands, and really our relationships with one another. That we're loving one another as Christ loved the church because he nourishes his own body and cares for it. We love our neighbor as ourselves.
And that's Pastor Smarty Pants, and he's exactly right, and that's exactly what we talk about. Did I do it right? Look at that, would you? On Drive-By Parenting and Drive-By Marriage, making sure that your home is founded and grounded in the gospel. Gotta be honest, I don't know how pagans stay married. I really don't. I'm just shocked. Really? Some heathens have been married for 35 years? What are the odds of that? Why? Because you got a couple of sinners living in a house, you add kids, and then you get more sinners living in a house. And how pagans are able to forgive and cope and love, I don't know. For me, it really requires something supernatural. It requires the gospel, and that is why you need to be looking at your marriage and your parenting rightly. If you're simply trying to apply some man-made methods and conform their behavior, you're creating little Pharisees. You can even do that with your wife, sir. Instead, you need to be playing the role of Jesus. Your wife plays the role of the church. How do you play the role of Jesus? It's by staring at Jesus more. The more you look at him, the more you will look like him. How did he look? Philippians 2, the great kenosis passage, emptying of himself of his right to play the role of God because he is God. He set aside those rights, humbled himself. He came to serve. God came to serve. Now, you talk about a drop in status and position, and he did that, sir, for you. Studying that, pondering that, which means pondering yourself, not in a navel-gazing kind of way, but in a, whoa, look at what I am, and yet he came and did that for me, allows you to start having that same type of humility, that same type of attitude, that same type of heart, and that same desire to see accomplished in your wife and children what God is doing in you, and that is growing you in your love for the Savior. That is ultimately what we want for our wife. That is ultimately we want for our children. Otherwise, we're behavior modification people. And I got to tell you something, that secular psychological idea should go out with tomorrow's trash. Instead, reorient your home around the gospel. And until tomorrow, go serve your King.